especially those of you who had the foresight 20 years ago to get this ball rolling. As a member of the community, I'd like to thank those of you who have been involved for that long. I have not been involved with this committee all those years, but from a member, all the members of the community, I would like to thank each and every one of you. Those of you who have come to this facility and paid $5 for a ticket, or those of you who have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants, etc., for this organization. From the community, I want to say thank you. And now, Micah?
Wireless mic. I don't know if it's working, Tyler, or not. But I want to welcome everybody. I want to restate what Lee said. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for being part of something really special here in Tamaqua that's been going on for a long time. I do want to get a couple of housekeeping things out of the way early. The bathrooms are downstairs, underneath the stairs on the south side of the building. And there is food back there. I'm going to do a slide presentation with some of the highlights of the last 20 years, so feel free to get up during the presentation and get some more food, use the bathroom, things like that. The other thing I want to mention is on your tables, there's Post-it notes and pencils, okay? Before you leave tonight, what I'd like you to do is write down a Dear Tamaqua. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what Dear Tamaqua is, and I'm going to show you some slides from Dear Tamaqua too. I want you to write down something on the Post-it note, maybe a hope you have for Tamaqua, maybe a wish, maybe an idea that's been in your mind for a while. That's how a lot of the things that you're going to see tonight started. And what I want you to do with that Post-it note is before the end of the evening, I want you to go up and I want you to slap it on that Dear Tamaqua banner that's back there. We've been collecting Dear Tamaqua stories all year long. Next year, we're going to use those Dear Tamaqua letters and notes that we've received, including yours, as a source material for a public participation theatrical event that's going to happen out in the streets of Tamaqua next August. And so we're going to pass around pencils. So as we go through, and I'm doing this now so that when we go through the PowerPoint presentation, you see some of the pictures. If you have ideas, write them down and slap them up on the Dear Tamaqua banner. The other thing I want to do is I want to thank a few people. One, I want to thank Leona Riga and Shannon Riga for helping set this up. They did all the work in preparing the building, and Kyle, who's our sound man, and also built our screen for us. So if we could give them a round of applause for all the work that they did. They've done a really nice job here, as have all the volunteers, Rose Jean and Zach and Buddy and Doug and countless other people have done a really nice job here. Thank you for hosting us in this building. It's really nice. And also, I want to introduce our board of directors. The Tamaqua Area Community Partnership is a nonprofit charitable organization, which means donations to the organization are tax deductible. So that's a good thing. But the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership is also an effort, and sometimes we confuse the two because it's a blurred line between the organization and the effort. And but we do have a board of directors that meets on a regular basis. They do all the fun stuff like approve our tax return, go over our audits, and review the bills, things like that. So I'm going to read through the board of directors. If you're here, just stand up or wave, and you can hold your applause so I read all of them. I know there's several board members here. Serge Crush, Maureen Donovan, Ken Dunkelberger, Pat Free-Stefanik, Dale Frudenberger, Judy Hoppus, Kathy Kunkel, Carol Makuda, Anthony Odorizzi, Mike Prock, Ed Redding, Lee Schaefer, George Taylor, George Uranovich, and Linda Ulanavich. So if we could have a round of applause for that board. I get to be the front man for a lot of really good people, and that board is really good and very, very nice to work with. When we have a special meeting and I say, wait, we're going to buy the tiki and we're going to fix up the tiki, they're the ones that actually vote to make sure that we're going to do that. And fortunately, they've been willing to take some chances. I also want to thank Dave Argle, Senator Argle, for sending out an invitation and helping to get most of you here. He's been a part of this effort from the from the beginning. It's actually become legendary, Dave. I've heard the story so many times. in the dark winter of 1994. Ted's lock was in his store and the snow was piling up outside and there was no customers. And he said, we have to do something. And the nice thing about legends, at least this one, is there's a lot of truth to it. That's exactly how it happened. Rich Gibson is here. He was in the store when this happened. Ted Block is not able to join us today, but that's how this happened. And so I know we have some guests from other communities, Lansford and some other communities here tonight. That's how this effort started in 1994. It was a bad snowstorm, but it has become legendary. I'm going to read a letter that Ted Block sent. He asked me to read it. Thanks for reminding me how time moves so quickly. 20 years is incredible. I do follow your progress on your website, and I'm happy to see the good work continuing. To be honest, I do miss Tamaqua, and many times I wish I was back doing what I did, but time can be a burden. Happily, the countless meetings connected with 2004 have proved to be a worthwhile investment. I'd love to join you for the 20th anniversary, but the distance can be a beast. He's in Florida in the warm weather, so don't feel sorry for him too much. I'll be thinking about 2004's continuing success in reshaping Tamaqua's future. That meeting started, Dave and Ted started talking about how do we get people involved. You'll see a lot of slides of public participation, everything from really facilitated workshops to really simple stuff like slapping Dear Tamaqua stickers up on the banner. One thing we've done over the last 20 years is done a lot of listening. So it has become legendary. This was Beth Steiner, our first downtown manager, this is the ladies' waiting room of the train station back in 1995. And of course, there's been a lot of people involved through the years. There's no doubt I'm going to miss somebody, so I apologize if I miss you or your project or something like that. I really apologize. I try to include as much as I can. And we started off with really little things, like we put a historic marker up at South Mill in West Penn Township. We put a historical marker up at the murder site of Benjamin Yost on Lehigh and Broad Street. We worked with the Eagle Scout, Bob Roach's son. His Eagle Scout was to put, his project was to put a viewing stairway and platform and a historic marker at the Jack Hill gravesite. We worked with the Eastern Schuylkill Recreation Commission to do a passive wetland environmental project at the Newkirk Tunnel. We did things that people don't even realize we did. If you see the Soldier Circle, the monument at the Soldier Circle lit up at night, the community partnership helped to put those lights up. We helped celebrate our 200th anniversary in Tamaqua with our bicentennial committee. This was our really elaborate float that we had in the bicentennial parade. So you might recognize the numbers. They still go up on the high rise once a year as part of our ball rise and our New Year's celebration. But it really started with recreation and tourism and economic development and downtown revitalization. And then, of course, the four areas in the Tamaqua School District: Tamaqua Borough, West Penn Township, Rush Township, Schuylkill Township, and Walker Township. Really a regional effort, and this is really how it started. And so we've done a lot of things over the years, not just our own organization, but helping other organizations. So when the Tamaqua Historical Society's blacksmith shop got hit by a car, we helped the organization to restore the blacksmith shop so that we could preserve that piece of history. And again, you'll see our telltale historical marker there. We worked with communities from Jim Thorpe to Pottsville to develop a Molly McGuire auto tour. There's 17 stops on the tour. 7 of them are in Tamaqua, and we have a lot of Molly McGuire heritage. There's a CD that you can put in your car, and you can hear an auto tour going through the community. We did things like the Welcome to Tamaqua sign, and when we've been doing things for 20 years, we had to go back in and redo the Tamaqua signs because they got worn and weathered, so we put up new Welcome to Tamaqua signs. And so when you've been doing things for 2 decades, that sort of thing happens. Of course, we've supported the Tamaqua Save Our Station, which is an organization that's a separate entity and it has a separate board that owns and operates the Tamaqua Railroad Station. But you got to remember, put yourself back in 1994. This is what the train station looked like. This is the Tamaqua I grew up with. Fortunately, Grant and other young people are going to grow up in a much different Tamaqua. But we certainly supported the railroad station restoration. And this is what it looks like. The stores, the Christmas lights will be going up very shortly, right in the center of our downtown. And of course, a lot of people involved. Dale Frusenberger in the background. Of course, Ken Smulligan right where he should be, welcoming people to his restored train station. And it was the year 2004 that we dedicated that station. The restoration was done in 2004, halfway between where we are and where we started in 1994. And of course, the community partnership helped to organize Depot Square Park. with our Main Street program, and I'll talk a little bit about the Main Street program, where we put a fountain and a beautiful landscape garden in the middle of our community as a welcome. The pineapple on top is a symbol for welcome, and of course the water in the fountain, with the land is running water. So the fountain literally, well, not literally, but figuratively says, welcome to Tamaqua. And of course, the gardens, we continue to maintain those. We get support from the Morgan Foundation and donations from other people to help us support the landscaping that's done there every year. It didn't change the world. We didn't have Jennifer Aniston come and jump in the fountain. Okay, when we started in 1994, we wanted to improve the quality of life. And that's kind of a nebulous goal. Certainly after 20 years, you could look back and say, yes, we improved the quality of life. But if you were expecting Tamaqua to become something it isn't, then you were going to be disappointed, and you will be disappointed. But we did have Jennifer Aniston and friends. But that's not what Tamaqua is. But this is my daughter Sophie, and she grew up with a fountain in her community. We don't have movie stars jumping in our fountain. We have little girls throwing quarters and pennies in there, making wishes. And Depot Square Park is where we do our Christmas tree lighting every year. We do our service every year, and this is the luminaries that the Tamaqua Faith Fellowship Network did. That's what the center of our community is. And of course, it's where Santa Claus comes every year, and Mrs. Claus, when they come to the community, they come to Depot Square Park. It's the center of the community. When you do a lot of projects, and when you look back on it, you think, well, this could happen anywhere. This is something that just was bound to happen. This is what the Hess gas station looked like before the park, and this is what it looked like after the park. And these things don't just happen, and they don't have to happen. This is a project, I'm not picking on Frackville, but this is on Route 61 in Frackville. When the Hess company was getting rid of gas stations, they got rid of this one too. And this one is still a used car lot. You don't have to have a beautiful park and fountain in your community. These things don't just happen. And actually, Tamaqua used to have a used car lot there. I found this photograph. And so I'm glad that we don't have a used car lot. Not that there's anything wrong with used car lots, because there isn't, but it's so much nicer to have Depot Square Park. Back in 1995, right as we started this effort, we invited a team of international experts from Canada, from the United States, from England, and they spent a week here, and they went over our work plan. And on the back of your agenda is our statement of principles, sort of what we're all about from 1994, that was adopted in 1995. And this team came to Tamaqua in 1995, and they helped us come up with some plans and helped refine some of the dreams and desires that the people in Tamaqua had. And we brought them back in the year 2004, and they did it again. And this is Nick Holliday from Cotswold, England. We invited him to come tonight. He was unable to make it too. But he was part of that team, and I'm going to read a little bit. He said, "Happy birthday, Tamaqua. It's June 1995, and I'm traveling in a minibus heading to the unknown with a bunch of complete strangers. I've been in the U.S. barely 24 hours, and my fellow travelers, whom I've known for a matter of minutes, and we've been allocated the case study of Tamaqua. Where the heck is that? More to the point, what is Tamaqua? I consult my briefing pack. Two things leap out. One, the Molly McGuires, and to my relief, the planned visit to Tamaqua includes a team of international experts. It's on this later point that I'm much relieved to find that we will have some expertise to help us get the grips on the case study. After all, that is why we are here as a bunch of very desperate professionals to look and learn. Only as I read on does it suddenly register, we are that team. So no pressure, what on earth have we got ourselves into?" And he ends with, "Thank you, Tamaqua, for inviting the Springy Bunch, and congratulations on all you've achieved in the last 20 years. Enjoy your celebrations. In doing so, lay the foundation for the next 20 years, building a better future for the next generation." And then John Monroe, who works in Boston, he works for the National Park Service. He wrote, "In my community work at the National Park Service, I continue to refer to the dedication and results of Tamaqua. You are an inspiration to the people I work with in Rhode Island and Connecticut. Tamaqua changed my work life. Tamaqua is the first place I ever heard about the National Main Street Program. This year I'm celebrating my 10th year as a freelance consultant for Main Street programs. Tamaqua changed my career. And the Springy Bunch, I see Ronnie about once a year at the National Main Street Conference. I visited Martin and Stephen and Nick in England and Wales and managed to keep in touch. I occasionally hear from Maria and Greg Malaska. They are remarkable people. Tamaqua changed my life. Have fun tonight. When I get home later this evening from a trip to Connecticut, I'll head over to the Barking Dog, my local pub, and order an England beer and raise a toast to every one of you. Congratulations. So we've had a lot of people that have helped us and touched us through the years, and we've shared that with other communities too. We try to do the same thing. But John came back in 2004 with a plan. They came up with a little plan. All this stuff is on our website. If you go there, these documents on some strategies for economic development, some strategies for historic preservation and tourism, some strategies for outdoor recreation, and some strategies for downtown revitalization. The thing about Tamaqua and what we've done over the last 20 years, you have to be careful what you write on that Post-it note and slap it up on the wall, because we just might do it. Because that's how all of these ideas started. Oh, we should fix up the train station, we should build trails, we should fix up our downtown. That's how these things started. And fixing up our downtown, he talked a little bit about the Main Street program. Our Main Street is a little bit different than it was back in the day. And we have Beverly here from DCED, who's been a big partner here, and Pennsylvania supports the Main Street program. So when little towns like Tamaqua say, what do we do with our downtown? We actually have an answer. There's a program called the Main Street program, and it works. It's not a magic wand, but it works. And so, Beverly, thanks for joining us, and thank Ed Geiger and your team. Make sure that they know that we really do appreciate it. You've seen the changes, maybe not all at once like this, but over time, and over time it may lose its impact. This is Eleanor passed recently, so, but this is her facade, and that's vinyl siding. Those fish scale siding is actually vinyl siding. But we've done a lot of things to develop parking throughout the downtown. This is the old job center, and where it used to be the Victoria Theater. The Salvation Army, as a result of the positive energy that our 2004 vision was creating, was able to raise about $1.3 million and build a new community center downtown, all private money, which is really nice. It's still operating, and the building's nice, but the programs are even better. They do the soup kitchen, they do the food pantry, they do the holiday dinners, they give out backpacks, they serve meals at the holidays. They have the gym that's available, and young people go there and use the gym. And the older and bolder group and needle plugs use the gym as well. We've done a lot of facades, revitalizing with the buildings to make them sparkle and make them shine and make them something special. I remember Dr. Geiger said, we won't really have accomplished anything until something good happens at the Flatiron Building. And he was like giving up. Oh, we're not going to be able to do it. And now here we go. The Flatiron Building today is a beautiful building. Restored. The Miller family owns it. They've done an incredible job. And of course, Emma's friends, Soaps and Lotions. What a wonderful business to have in our downtown. Really, that's what it's all about. When you say improving the quality of life, fixing up buildings isn't really what it's about. It's about stuff like that. And of course, this is currently La Dolce Casa. This is what that building looked like in 1995, 1994. It used to be the donut world, and this is what it looked like kind of halfway through the last 20 years. And this is a view of what it looked like before we did a facade improvement program there. This is what it looks like afterwards. And what's unique about this project is the community partnership has a facade easement where we helped the Dolce Casa fix up their facade, and we have a perpetual easement that will run with the deed. So it'll look like this forever, so we won't have to fix it up again. But that's pretty dramatic, the difference between this, which is the town I grew up in, and this, which is the town my children are growing up in, or have grown up in. So, this was a drawing of that block that we did that was done in 2001 by Ball State University when they came here and we did a charrette. Charrette is French for little cart, and it's a community planning process where you bring people who can draw, and you tell them, we'd like to fix up that downtown, and then they draw the downtown fixed up. And so, like I said, be careful what you stick on that there Tamaqua poster, because we just might do it. And we did tire pros next to it as well. This is what it looked like when they did that drawing in the charrette, and this is what it looks like today with the big beautiful windows and the restored facade. Someday we're going to put banners on it. We're going to make it look like the good old days. You heard all the old timers talk about the good old days, okay? Right? I don't remember good old days like this, but boy, it'd be nice to get banners like that on the building there. And of course, we designated a very large historic district, 900 properties, 52 blocks. Mary Jo Kevin was our consultant who helped us to do that, to protect our resources. It was as a result of the threatening, the demolition of the Daniel Sheff house on East Broad Street. Fortunately, we were able to come to a really good agreement that allowed us to save the Chef House. There it is, historic mansion at risk. Victorian home appears to be doomed. And we've lost some buildings in our day, but fortunately we didn't lose this one. This is what it looks like today, and it's where Northeast Abstract and Gary Morchuk's law office is there. And so again, it's not just about the building. You know, there's jobs that are there now that weren't there before, and a good owner that's taking good care of the building. So we're really happy to have done that. And it's not just in the downtown. We've been preserving buildings all over the community. This is the Neil Dockerty Miners Home. He's the Molly McGuire from the Molly McGuire story. This is located in Tuscarora. The Community Partnership Organization owns it. Someday we did some work to it. We don't want to fix it up too much because it was a miner shack. But we own that, and it's part of the Molly McGuire Auto Tour. The West Penn train station, which we all drive by on Route 309, we helped to facilitate that, working with Kirk Bailey and the West Penn Lions and West Penn Township. And of course, we helped a couple of other historic buildings in the downtown, like the Citizens Fire Company. We helped them redo their floor and their roof and put some windows in, because the best way to preserve your downtown is to have somebody in that building using it. And the fire companies do that. It's a beautiful building now, and we restored the windows. And we did the same thing with the American Host Fire Company on Mock Chunk Street. This is what it looked like prior to the project. And then we had some drawings done, and we did a little project, and this is what it looks like today. Dramatic difference, and it's a good way to reuse these buildings. You have to make them sizzle, make them something special, because they really are. And that vacant would be a very, very bad thing. But this is what it looks like, and you can really make these things nice. And of course, we use our Main Street program. Linda Ulanavage, our Main Street manager, has been doing this for a long time and has been organizing the efforts with her in front of the Flatiron Building. And really, the Main Street program works. We've been a Main Street program for a long time, and really have done a lot of good work using that. Here she is reading the news about Ulster County. Ulster County is where Woodstock is. We went on a little exchange. We share a lot of ideas, and we go visit other communities because we steal ideas all the time, because we really don't know what we're doing. And Linda's really been a good leader with our Brooklyn Community Program and helping with Depot Square Park and a lot of the projects that have gone. People always say, what about jobs? We need good jobs in this area. Yes, we do need good jobs in this area, but it also has to be a nice place to live. The Tidewood Park, and this is a story I've heard 1,000 times too. In 1994, the Tidewood Park had one part-time employee in the whole park, and that was a part-time custodian. The park now has over 500 jobs just in the industrial park. That doesn't even include the shopping plaza. And so, and really good employers like Silverline and Fox Transportation and some other ones. It's really been a remarkable turnaround. A partnership between Tide and Tedco helped to make that happen. And of course, in the downtown blocks on West Broad Street, the before and after is pretty remarkable. And it is about fixing up the buildings, but improving quality of life is also about making sure that we can sustain it. And Ted, we read a letter from Ted. He's enjoying his retirement in Florida. We have a new owner, Ralph Richards, owns blocks and is keeping it going with the name blocks, with the facade. And that's really important too, because that's where I buy my suits and my ties. So it is about fixing up the downtown, but it is about jobs. Jobs don't have to be in an industrial park to be a job. We have a lot of jobs in our downtown. In the upper floors of the Flatiron Building, there's Atlas Steel, and they do the design work for steel fabrication for high-rise buildings all over the world. We do it in the middle of downtown Tamaqua. And of course, businesses like M&S Hardware, where they turn this slot into their expanded store. Not all of our projects go well. I'll be the first to admit it. This is the Moose Building, which is still empty after 20 years. And we own that. We sold it to a developer. It didn't work, and it's still empty. We still have hopes and dreams. If anybody wants to develop this, talk to me after the meeting. We've been waiting for 20 years. We did do some preservation work so that the building is solid and we can still reuse it. And that works in the downtown, but then people started saying, hey, all right, enough about the downtown already. What about where people live? And so DCED has an Elm Street program that helps fix up neighborhoods. So we went to the South Ward and we started an Elm Street program to help fix up the South Ward neighborhood. The citizens and the residents of the South Ward said, we want to put up the old Carriage Street stairs. And we all said, where in the world is Carriage Street? And we didn't know there were stairs there. So that was part of their community plan. That was one of the things that they stuck up on the wall. And we were able to do. We built a new set of iron steps to connect Nestapec Street and Spruce Street. And there's a nice picture of the view from there. And then, of course, the Southwood Playground, major renovations there, an office for the headquarters, improving the quality of life. I think this qualifies. And really nice community center, stand, place to have meetings and get information to people. We tore down some blighted properties in the neighborhood as well, and these kids were very happy about that because this is, because they live in this neighborhood. They've grown up quite a bit since then. We've got some help from places like Blueprint Communities. The Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh has been very supportive of this. Oh, and Kathy Kunkel is our Elm Street manager. Is Kathy here today? I don't know if Kathy was able to make it. She's been very, very instrumental in helping. She lives in the South Ward, works for the Times News, and moonlights as our Elm Street manager. And it's not just in the South Ward. We actually did a streetscape project with Mary D. And the people of Mary D. Schuylkill Township wanted to put up some trees and beautify the main intersection in Mary D. If you've been to Mary D. is a very small village, very close-knit community, and we did a streetscape project there too. So it doesn't have to be in the downtown in Tamaqua. And that was a nice project. Also, the entrance to the Owl Creek section of Tamaqua. Some residents there wanted to recreate the old railroad bridge that was there, so we helped them put the wall up that you see there today. And we've done it to a lot of community sessions similar to this. Some of them were much more structured, where we sent people out, we'd have them take pictures of things that they like, and we pour over plans and things like that. We're not going to do that tonight. I just want you to stick that posted up on the wall. But then they would draw pictures at this charrette. We would say, I think we should open up the Owl Creek reservoirs for recreation. So the landscape architect would draw the Owl Creek reservoirs open for recreation. And boy, when you show somebody a picture, it kind of gets the wheels turning. You think, yeah, we can do that. And here we are, years later, and it's open. We took them out there, showed them the reservoirs. And we said, wait, it'd be nice if you could boat on there. We had a boat ramp, or a boat launch. And so there's one there now. And they drew what it could look like. And next thing you know, last year we rededicated the dams. They're saved, and it's open to recreation. It sounds silly, but sometimes that community process to kind of get everybody on board and understanding that, hey, yeah, we could open this up. This could be something really, really nice. And of course, we like to link things together. So the Saved banner was made at the Art Center by one of our artists. A lot of people don't know that, but Jeff Rinn did that, and very proud of it, and a really nice way to celebrate the saving of the dams. I mentioned the Blueprint Communities program. We've been a model for a lot of other communities. Blueprint Communities is just a community that has a plan and is working toward it. There's some training that we went through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. We now actually go out and talk to other communities who are trying to do this and try to help them as well. And we've been doing that for a while. We had a nice ceremony in Harrisburg, and we've been working on a blueprint plan for quite a while. If you haven't been to our website, please go to our website. We've tried to, one of the blueprint plan goals was to have a website. And it sounds silly, but hey, one of our goals is to have a website. So we developed a website with the help of Ed Redding, who is on our board. And these are all, there's videos on the website in the voice of the people who are actually doing the work and organizing the efforts. And you can just click on the YouTube video, and they'll play a video and show you pictures of what we've been doing over the last 20 years. So I encourage you to go there if you can. We've done a lot of things. This is what the South Railroad Street railroad bed used to look like. And of course, Donnie Surface's pictures, Donnie's here today, his pictures really make it dramatic, but really it is a big difference. Making things look nice is a good thing, and it makes you feel better about your community. This was just taken a few days ago. And of course, one of our favorite projects is what used to be the junior high, where I went to junior high. And we had a junior high advisory committee when the school was going to be building the middle school, and we worked. And then finally, the school was able to broker a deal. Of course, what is probably my favorite project is the LTIC, the Lehigh Carbon Community College Morgan Center in the South Ward. And it's really made a dramatic improvement to the neighborhood, certainly, but also to the lives of everybody who's come through there, who's got a degree, who had access to higher education, who wouldn't have had it before. A lot of people who are going there on the Morgan Scholarship, a lot of the students are students who wouldn't be going to college anywhere if this opportunity wasn't there for them. So we're really proud of the LTIC project and the Morgan Center. And actually, we have a special guest here tonight who's going to help us celebrate that. We have a special guest here from LTIC. Let's see if we have somebody here. Oh, yes. We couldn't get President Bieber here. So we were able to get the LTIC over here. It's been really nice having LTIC part of our community. All right, Joe Kruger, what do you think of the L. Tracy Morgan Center in Tamaqua? Yeah, all right. So, all right, let's give it up to the L. Tracy Kruger. Thank you for coming. All right. I told him to keep his comments short.
That's a ridiculous.
And so we're really proud to have L. Tracy here, and not just the Morgan Scholarship, which provides 2 years of free college education at the L. Tracy Center and their Snacksville campus, but also the Scheller Scholarship, which is unfortunately one of the best kept secret. The Scheller Scholarship will pay for year 3 and 4 of a college degree if you're eligible. So if you know a young person who's interested in college, you can get 4 years of college for free if you live in the Tamaqua area, thanks to the Morgan Foundation and the Scheller family. And of course, they have really high-tech labs there. They train nurses. They do a lot of really good work there. Maureen Donovan is on our board, who's really instrumental there. And the community partnership organization actually helped with this project. This was the Southwood Fire Company. The Southwood Fire Company literally built this building themselves, and they wanted to build a new building, and L. Tracy wanted to expand, but they just couldn't put the deal together. And if there's a long story, and someday you can buy me a beer and I'll tell it to you, but the community partnership was able to step in there as an organization. We took ownership of the Southwood Fire Company, which allowed L. Tracy to build the Lisa Jane Scheller Student Center, which is there now. This is the same building, believe it or not. This is the same building. They were able to build that, and it allowed the Southwood Fire Company to build their new building up in the South Ward. And so we were able to broker that deal. Without an organization, without a board that's willing to do these sorts of things, these things would not happen. And Lisa Scheller from Silverline has been very generous. The family has been very generous, not only with the Scheller Center, but the Scheller Scholarships. Has really done a nice job. And this is the Southwood Fire Company building that they were able to build and expand because of that project. This is a picture of me when we signed the ESRC agreement. Jack was teasing me about this photo. This was in 1996. The Eastern Schuylkill Recreation Commission was born. And one of the things that people said in 1994 was we want better recreational opportunities. And so we got all of the municipalities in the area to sign an agreement to hire a cooperative agreement, hire a joint employee, a recreation director, and start doing projects. Jason Boris, who recently moved on to the Blue Mountain Recreation Commission, was our director for a long time. Keith Hoppus was the director prior to him. I've done a lot of projects. We've literally fixed up every park and playground in our area, including Miller Estates and Miller Park up in hometown, up in Rush Township, Richard E. Miller Memorial Park. This is Richard Miller Park. This is Mary B. again. Mary B. Ballfield before, Mary B. Ballfield after. I'm going to do that again. And this was the Mary B. Ballfield that was down the hill. This is what the ballfield used to look like. And this is what it looks like now. It's really hard to develop a trail if it crosses municipal boundaries. The SRC has developed some trails that go between municipalities, including the Lehigh and New England Trail. And we've celebrated really nice the Schuylkill Valley Heritage Trail on Route 209. Helped the school district put up some soccer lights and get some funding with the help of Senator Argle, some funding to put up some lights for the soccer field. Helped to organize a project that kind of developed a plan for a river walk. Yes, a river walk in Tamaqua. And there's a nice walkway along the river by Boyer Supermarket. So, like I said, be careful what you put up on the wall, because when people say, hey, we want this, and then we turn it into this, I mean, it really can't happen if we put our money to it. The SRC has done a lot of work that people don't really realize unless you live in that neighborhood. This is the Quakey basketball court that was redone by the Eastern Schuylkill Recreation Commission. And this is Middleport. Middleport saw what we were doing and wanted to join. And so this is the Middleport playground. And you can see that from Route 209 when you drive through that community. And of course, anybody know where this is? No, not West Penn. How about now? Dutch Hill. All right. We didn't lose anybody yet. I'm glad. The Dutch Hill playground, we just cut the ribbon on this very recently, right by the baseball field. And also the Recreation Commission has done a lot of programming. Basketball leagues, youth basketball leagues that are very inclusive. They're learning leagues, and everybody can play. We do a mountain bike race. We've done mountain bike races, and developed a volleyball court. Anybody know where this volleyball court is located? In Coaldale. Coaldale joined the SRC too. They saw what we were doing and wanted to join. and of course there'll be volleyball leagues in the summertime. And the bungalow playground, the bungalow pool. I told you we fixed up every playground. Anybody know where this is? Owl Creek, the Owl Creek playground. We fixed up some playgrounds that weren't even playgrounds. Wildcat Park in Walker Township. West Penn Park East in West Penn. Some children playing baseball there. Another view of West Penn Park East. And of course, our departing director, Jason Boris, we've had a lot of people that have helped us through the years. Jason's been a key player. The ESRC is looking for a replacement. We really can't replace you, Jason. You've done a really nice job. And actually, we have some people who want to say a few words. We have Jim Akins, who's the West Penn Township Supervisor. You can come up for a moment. And Dave Mace, who's the chairman of the Borough of Tamaqua's Recreation and Youth Committee.
The glare's not too bad off the top of my head, is it?
I'll add to it.
Like Mikey said, Jason has done a lot of, he's put a lot of time in it. It's 14 years. I'd like to step back. I started my process in the ESRC was probably about 15 years ago, and we had lost Keith Hoppus as a director, and so we started doing interviews. And Jason came in, and I've been through several interviews up until that time myself, and interviewed people for different things. And Jason came in, and he had helped through his schooling, did some work with ESRC in the summer to help with some of the programming. He brought a scrapbook of all his projects. He wanted the job, and he was so thorough in his interview of what he could contribute that we kind of made a decision before he even left the room. So it's been a great marriage for us, Jason. It's sad to see you go, but as a supporter of yours, I'm happy for you that you're blossoming out and you're branching out. So good luck, and if you got a couple words or something.
In addition to being the chair of the Recreation Board here in Tamaqua, I've also been the newly elected president of the Eastern Schuylkill Recreation Commission, which, was sort of a process of elimination at our reorganization in January. Dave, it's no problem. Jason takes care of everything. 7 or 8 months later, I have now the unbeatable task of trying to replace somebody who's given 14 years of his blood, sweat, and tears, probably, to each of the communities represented by ESRC. And no small task. We'll be refilling the position, but not replacing him. And Jason, if you can join us up here, we have a little token of appreciation from ESRC for your years of service.
He didn't know this was happening. He sat in the middle.
If I may, I'll read it to you. It won't take very long. But it's an award of appreciation presented to Jason Boris, Executive Director of the Eastern Schuylkill Recreation Commission, in recognition of 14 years of outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to the Recreation Commission, presented in 2014. Thank you very much.
If you want to, you don't have to.
I had a hunch something was up when everybody kept asking me if I was coming to this event. But I don't have much to say other than thank you, Jim, Dave, everybody in this room. We're here celebrating partnerships, and the ESRC is an absolute perfect example of what good partnerships and people working together can do. And I am extremely sad to leave this area, but I know we did a lot of good things, and I know it'll continue. And I just want to thank everybody here in this room because you've all played a role. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. We wish
Oh my God, I hate to interrupt.
Oh, no.
We forgot, we actually had another award for Jason. You've done such a great job that we would have, you could go home and stick to your fridge tonight, or we could put these cheese on you for a job well done.
It's our homage to the educators in the room. It's a good work sticker. So.
And the ESRC continues to do really good work, and you don't really hear about it until they're cutting the ribbon on some of these projects. I talked about the fact that we get a lot of community input. This is our board member, George Taylor, doing a quality of life survey during one of our festivals, asking people what they think about Tamaqua, how they feel about Tamaqua, about their community, where they live. All of the results are up on our website if you want to go and see the results of that study. He also helped to organize the Tamaqua Faith Fellowship Network. We partner with this organization. It's a group of lay leaders from churches in Tamaqua who have done a lot of good projects, including the Advent breakfast and some other things. They did a hunger walk. The community partnership helps to support those efforts as well. When they're doing the hunger walk, they're not thinking about the Tamaqua Community Partnership or the 2004 vision or anything like that. They're thinking about fighting hunger and doing the walk and organizing that, and do really, really good work. A couple of weeks ago, maybe about a week or so, they did a film when God left the building, and talked about declining church attendance and some things that they can do to address that, and then also the issue of what do you do with churches when they're empty. This is a good example of a positive thing. When we did the Blueprint Communities program, one of our goals was to improve housing. We had done a really good job in the downtown for the first 10 years, and we wanted to do some housing. This was the Aiken building on Hazel Street, and we got involved with this in the Blueprint Community program. It used to be the boot and shoe factory. I don't know if there's anybody in the room that remembers this photograph. I hope not. The boot and shoe factory on Hazel Street, and we had a little drawing done and turned it into this. It's 14 units of residential living, very nice units there. Completely restored that. A team, Blueprint Communities team, working together strategically to try to do some really good things. And it worked so well that we did the building in front of what is now Liberty Hall. And this is what it looked like before shot, and this is what it looks like now. It's 12 units, really, really wonderful renovation. And Liberty Hall, we repainted the Liberty Hall on the side of the building. And I mentioned that it's not just about buildings, it is about improving quality of life. This is Faye Montgomery. She lives in Liberty Hall. That's her home. She travels as a missionary. She travels all around the world. She lives in Tamaqua. When she's not traveling, she visits her daughter in New York City. She loves Liberty Hall. She actually gave us permission to share her story because she likes living there. She likes living in Tamaqua, and it's a good home base for her. So when she's not traveling the world or going to visit her daughter, she lives here, and she really enjoys that. And that's a good quality of life. Here she is in her apartment unit. They're very nice inside. She really enjoys that living there. We've had a lot of help through the years. This is Tony Konechny. Tony has been a supporter of ours for many, many years. Most people don't know this. Some of our board members might not even know this. Tony sends us $250 every quarter and has done this since 2007. Because he believes in what we're doing, because he likes what we're doing. Over 7 years, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's $7,000 that helps support the project that we do. Tony's a U.S. Naval Academy graduate, a Tamaqua graduate. I know he's been in the community many times. He comes back and visits, and we talk about the things that Tamaqua is doing. Other people that have helped us, Martha Heron from PPL, who recently retired. PPL has been a big supporter from day one. Of course, Dave Argel, he's been a big supporter. This was a $2 million check that he got to hand deliver. Usually you don't get to do that. But that was a really nice for our streetscape project and for the L-Tri-C project. And so there's Ken Smulligan, the council president at the time. Dave has been a really big supporter. Dave, thank you for everything that you've helped us to do, all the connections that you've helped us make with other communities and learn what they're doing. Really couldn't have done any of this without your support. Now at the bottom when we were doing our Elm Street program, the top picture when we were doing Depot Square Park, and Dave had pulled off of the wall the historic picture of what Depot Square Park looked like back in the 1800s when the Reading Railroad built the train station. Bob and Andrea Roach, Bob was one of our first board members and board chair. He was unable to make it. He lives in Florida as well, but he did send this message. Who would have thought Tamaqua would be home to a community college, have a beautiful park in the center of town, and a thriving community center right in downtown. The success of the Tamaqua Area Partnership was the ability to work together as a group to the betterment of the area, not one specific township, borough, or organization. For all who have helped the efforts in any way, I thank you. We could never have achieved any of the successes without you. So he sends his best wishes. Our longest reigning chair was Pat Stefanik. Patty was the chair of our board for 12 years. Really saw us through a lot of the projects that you just saw, and has been a really good leader in the community and really instrumental in the success that we've had. We had a little celebration for her. She's the queen. So and we had a little dinner and thanked her for her service when she stepped down as the board chair. She still serves on the board, but she serves as 12 years on the chair as chair. And we actually established an endowment fund with the Schuylkill Area Community Foundation in her name, in her honor. You can establish an endowment fund for a nonprofit organization for as little as $5,000. If you work with a nonprofit, I would encourage you to do that. But we did establish the Pat Stefanik Endowment Fund to help support the community partnership's continued efforts. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the media, the cameras, and the people who write all the stuff that we do. Really, we're very fortunate and blessed. I don't know if it's the cause or effect, but whether it's Donnie Surface or Joe Whalen or Andy with his camera, or Kathy Kunkel, and then Sean Hessinger, who remembers him, right? And then of course Joe Plasko, who is also on our board. Really writing about what we've been doing has been very helpful to our efforts too, and has really created a legacy. You've seen some articles up there. We wouldn't have the historical record without some of those articles, so thank you for that. And Donnie's still doing it. This is an article from Saturday about the community reawakened and a nice opinion column. So thank you for helping more people see what the good people in this community are doing. And I do want to thank Joe, and remember Joe Plasko and a couple other people who served on our board who are no longer with us. Joe Plasko, of course, Sally Newman, Dave Zanis, Mark Mormon, Betty Gibson, Ray Kinder, George Gilkiston, Gene Friendly, Ken Smulligan, and Chester Hoffman. Those people were instrumental, and they're no longer with us to celebrate, but they certainly celebrated through the years as we had some really good accomplishments with them. We're not always one big happy family. There's issues within the community. There always are, there always will be. But we've always been able to come together and get things done. We've made some new friends. These are our friends from Uniontown. We have a sister city in Uniontown. We went out to visit them and see some of the things that they're doing. They came back and they visited us to see some of the things that we're doing, and really an exchange of ideas. That picture on the upper left is me with the sheriff of Nottingham. After we did an exchange and brought some people from England here, they wanted to learn from Tamaqua, so they sent me to the Sherwood Forest and got to meet the sheriff of Nottingham. In the bottom, we visited Rhode Island. We've taken people all over the place to learn from other communities. And people have they steal our ideas, like our historic markers. This is a historic marker that is in Hamburg. They called us up and said, how did you do that? And then they did it. We've had some really good friends through the years, including Rural List, Joe Yarzabinski there, and Andrew Saavedra is here. Andy, are you here? If you can come up. Rural List has been very instrumental in supporting us through the years, helping us with funding, helping us with really connections with organizations. We wouldn't have been able to do Liberty Hall. We would not have been able to we would not have done Liberty Hall at 401 Hazel if it wasn't for Andy and Joe and Rural List. Where did I find that picture? Andy came and visited us several years ago. So Andy, do you want to say a few words?
Just briefly, we came, I think it was actually around 2005, when I was working with our Southern programs to see how it was done. And we took a lot of great ideas back then. I've been recently assigned to come back to work with Micah and the Tamaqua group, which is an honor. And it's been so wonderful to see how much further you've come along even since then. You should know that you're nationally recognized and should be very proud of it. Two things I always tell groups when I have opportunities like this. Number one, keep doing exactly what you're doing tonight. Celebrate your successes, because this is how you keep building up the momentum to continue to get this area to where you want it to be. And the second thing I like to also do is really give a shout out and a support to the team, to Micah and his team. Because you really have to support the groups that are really the catalyst for making these things happen. I always tell people to think about what it would look like if the Seed Community Development Corporation wasn't here. And Micah did a great job of showing that with the before and after pictures. So it's really important to let that resonate and do what you can to support the effort and especially to support all the people that are working so hard, Micah and Leona and all the things that I can't even keep track of in my head that you guys are doing. But it's an honor to be here. I drove up from DC to be here, and just great to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. You have some big shoes to fill. Joe Yarzabinski has been our contact with Liz for many years. I call him the mustache for obvious reasons. He's been to our community many times. He's really been supportive of us. He even helped us out with a litter pickup and gave us some T-shirts. And actually came and helped pick up the trash as well. He picked up cigarette butts on Mockshon Street with Grant, Susie, and me. And this is a picture of some volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers in the community, whether they're doing litter pickups like this or whether they're cleaning out the Historical Society Museum. I've talked a lot about what we've done in the past. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are on the horizon. We're doing a major project at the Historical Society Museum. These are the folks who did the heavy lifting to clear out the space in the museum, making room for renovations. We're going to renovate the exhibit space in the museum. This is what it looks like today. If you went in there today, of course it'd be darker right now, but this is what it looks like. And we're going to renovate this space to be exhibit space, and it's going to be nice and a really nice place to highlight our history. Some things that you might not realize, the black locomotive got painted seemingly overnight. We had a donor come to us and said, I want to make an anonymous donation because I want that engine painted. So he wrote us a check, said don't tell anybody where you got it, and have that thing painted. We're that kind of organization that people trust to be able to make a donation and then see what they want happen. And so it's a nice paint job on the locomotive. We've done a lot of projects here at the Art Center, Homes of Honor and Parenting Help. A lot of workshops and things like that with our neighborhood committee. Leona leads the Tamaqua Safety Initiative, which helps organize people in the safety initiative corridor of Pine Street, Mockshon Street, Railroad Street, Center Street, and bringing them together and having conversations about how to make the neighborhood better, including the Tamaqua Night Out, which we've done 2 years in a row now, we'll do again. And Leona does a nice job of organizing that. And many organizations come together to help make that happen. And of course, we get donations from local businesses and local donors to help support these efforts, because all of these things take time and money. And the safety initiative is really about bringing people together and getting them to talk about making their neighborhood nicer so that it's safer and feels safer and is safer. So when you came in tonight, you came in under these lights. That's part of the safety initiative, to light up your community and make it feel, well, you go from a dark corner on your community to being a festive atmosphere just by adding some lights. And so good job for that committee for doing that. Did some flower boxes. Businesses donated flower boxes. Volunteers helped distribute them, put them on porches. Really makes a big difference, shows some pride in the community. And he says, join me at National Night Out 2014. You better listen to him. He looks like a tough guy. If you don't join him, I think he'll come get you. We had people take pictures and post them on Facebook to come out and join us. Really nice event. And they did. Everybody came out to National Night Out. Our fire company was out, our police department was out, a lot of different organizations and businesses. This year we partnered with the Salvation Army, so the Salvation Army had their Kids Carnival the same day, and it was a really lively community in that safety initiative. In an area that wasn't always thought of as a safe and nice place, we're having parties and street festivals. And of course, our Dear Tamaqua has been part of this. These are some young kids during National Night Out. The children are painting on a piece of paper what they would like Tamaqua to be and what their dreams are for Tamaqua. Which brings me to Dear Tamaqua, which is a really nice project. Somebody said it was like the community talking to itself, and that's what it is. We want your input. You could do a Dear Tamaqua letter online. You could just do the Post-it note tonight. You can physically write a letter and send it in with your memories of Tamaqua, your hopes and dreams for the future, and we're going to compile those. We're going to do something special with them. We're going to do a show next year based on this information, and we're also going to use it as part of our organization to guide what we do. We take input from people and we talk about what we'd like the community to be, and we go to festivals and have people write down what their dreams are for Tamaqua, and then we try to go do it. One of the projects that we're working on with the safety initiative is with the Green Dot. The Green Dot is an anti-violence program. It's bystander training to help reduce the amount of violence in our community. Unfortunately, we have some good headlines and we have some bad headlines. And so there's some things that have been proven to work. The green dot strategy is one of those. That's Ben Serrano right here, our green dot coordinator. He's going to be doing some training. I would encourage all of you to go through the training and learn how to be a good bystander and stop violence in the community. This is a picture of a group that went up to Woodstock in New York and learned from some of the things that they did. And lo and behold, when we came back, we did the art center. We toured Woodstock in Ulster County, New York, and it rained, of course, because it was Woodstock. And we took them cold region T-shirts. They think these things are wonderful, and they are. And so we had a really nice time there. And then we came back and we had this idea to try to include the community through the arts, to fill buildings and to do the arts. We have a lot of volunteers at the Art Center who have done amazing work in the last 3 years that we've run this facility. Rose Jean there, doing some work. This is what this hall used to look like. And of course, you can see the renovations that were done, all with private money, with private donations. And so we're very proud of that. And we like to have our cake and eat it too. We like to celebrate things. This is we made a cake for that. We had a public meeting. We didn't just do the Art Center. We started with, okay, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want here? Let's share ideas. Let's have a brainstorming session. We had people come here. They sat around tables. We had about 80 people talk about things that we do, and we got input. Tom helped us out. Tom Rose, who helped us purchase. He made a private donation, a very nice private donation to help us purchase this building. We really appreciate that, and helped us facilitate a community conversation. And we got input. We asked for input, and we got it. We got a lot of ideas on the things that we'd like to have at the Art Center. And we got more ideas of things that we'd like to have at the Art Center. And we got more ideas about things that we'd like at the Art Center. And Leona and the committee, Jack Culp and all the volunteers here, have tried to do almost all of them. I don't know how they keep up with it, but they've done a really nice job. Featuring local artists. It's nice to have a place where we can feature local artists. Give people an opportunity to perform who may not have an opportunity elsewhere, where there's no alcohol. You don't have to go to a bar and to sing or dance. You can come here and perform or paint. We have a lot of concerts here. If you haven't been to a concert here, you should come back for a concert. It's much better than the PowerPoint presentation. We have the Tamaqua Community Theater. They do plays here quite often. They have some upcoming plays. You can go to their website and see some of the plays that are coming up on this stage. And of course, Jack and his band play here. We have a lot of local bands and local talented people. What was amazing is all of the talent that came out of the woodwork that was already here. And just by giving people a venue, they were able to really spread their wings and show what we have. Do a lot of plays. We have a lot of people involved. This is Craig. Craig runs the clay shop, the pottery studio, and the downstairs. If you would like a tour of the Art Center, Leona says we have some volunteers who will give you a tour this evening if you haven't been here before. And Kim Grant in the upper left is a volunteer who's helped here quite a bit as well. And of course, Leona, and I just want to recognize Leona for the work that she does in not only organizing the building and the programs, but also working with a lot of the volunteers and the artists. And if you've ever worked with artists, sometimes it can be challenging. And Leona does a really nice job. And we also have a committee that did the Tamaqua Artists in Residence program. This was one of those wild ideas that somebody had. And we said, yeah, what the heck, we'll try it. And so we did an Artists in Residence program. These are some volunteers at the Hometown Farmers Market raising some money for the Artists in Residence program. We had our exhibit for Jeffrey Collins. Jeffrey, are you here? Jeffrey here is the Tamaqua Artists in Residence 2014. If we can give him a round of applause. Jeffrey won a contest. The contest was 4 months in Tamaqua. we had people apply to our Artists in Residence program. The committee reviewed the applications and selected an artist who's going to spend the summer here and then have a show at the end of the season. He donated a piece of artwork. It's on the stairs on the way down in the hallway. He painted in the third floor of the Elks. We provided him with a studio space, and we had a nice art exhibit between September 13th and 28th. Our volunteers turned this space in the third floor of the Elks into a very enviable studio space, lots of light, lots of space to work, and the Elks were great to work with. So we turned this into this and provided 3 months of housing and to try to make an artist community. The idea was Joe Bennett, Joe Marioni, who owns and lives in the we used to be the Knights of Columbus building, and Stephen Bennett, and Stephen Joe. It was their crazy idea, and we said, all right, we could do that. So we have them here. We took some of our people to New York City to talk about what would it take to attract people to make them want to live in Tamaqua. Big space, cheap space, and good light. and access to the city. And we have that here. That's why Stephen is here, that's why Joe Marioni is here. And we looked at a paint shop in town. And so there's Joe Marioni and Stephen Bennett, who live in Tamaqua, who are professional artists, who this is what they do for a living, and occupy very large buildings and put it to really good use and make a living doing art in the community. Here's a volunteer that picks up the studio space in the Alps, and that's Stephen Bennett on the left-hand side. And of course, this is Jeffrey Collins in his studio space. And of course, we didn't just do that. We also, if you're going to bring somebody to Tamaqua for 3 months, where are you going to put them? We're going to have them live, of course, in the tiki, right? That's, you're going to tell somebody a good time in Tamaqua. You're going to put them up in the tiki. The community partnership was able to. This is another long story. I'm not going to go into all of it, but the board was willing to purchase the tiki. This is what it looked like before, right in the middle of our historic district, right in the middle of our safety initiative district. And this is the before shot. This is what it looked like a year ago, and this is what it looks like today. And Jeffrey Collins lived there for 3 months during the summer, and actually enjoyed the space. And there's a before and after shot. It's no longer a bar, it's now a single-family residence. It's a place to live. This is the side view. We put some windows in to let some light in. And so this is before, and this is after. And if you notice, the building next to it got fixed up too. Larry Frederick has done some nice work with the building next to it. He saw what we were doing and thought, you know, I think I'm going to fix up my building too. And Jeffrey has decided that he likes Tamaqua so much he's living here permanently. So he's now living in the tiki at 20 Mach Country, and he is now our tenant. And so we're very happy to have you here. And after spending a few months, we're glad you wanted to become a Tamaquan and become a permanent resident and join our growing artist community that's in Tamaqua. On the horizon, we have some properties that still need some work, most notably on Center Street. There's some properties that are really in deplorable condition right in our downtown that people have to drive by. We'd really like to do some things with this. If you're interested in this project, let me know. We need some help with this. And of course, I'm going to end the presentation with kind of going back in time. This is 1987. I talk about this when I go to other communities. In 1987, the condition in the community was such that a gentleman driving through the community wrote a letter to the editor, an editorial, and he called Tamaqua the second dirtiest, ugliest town in the country. And he went on, he didn't just stop there. He said he doesn't like driving through Tamaqua. He really doesn't understand how anybody could actually live there. And so I was like, whoa. Now, so of course, Tamaqua was up to the challenge. It started the Beautification Association, which is really the precursor to the community partnership and a lot of the things that we do. Nobody would drive through Tamaqua and say that now. They really wouldn't. It's a beautiful community. People, sometimes when we live here, we don't realize it, but people who drive through really see it as a nice community. But we've come a long way since those days. And like I said, the community that I grew up in was like this. Everybody talks, the old timers talk about the Texas lunch, and maybe not even so the old timers, a lot of, but the Texas lunch. I remember the Texas lunch, and I remember that block vaguely, but I do remember they tore the whole block down. And really, how much of a community would we have if we did this to every block that we have in our community? And if we don't cherish what we have and take care of it, what are we going to be? And so I'm going to end with the 5 pillars of sustainable communities, which is a list model that we use and we live by, where if we focus on these things, we're going to have a nice community: housing, real estate, building family wealth, economic development, education, and healthy choices. And we've been working in those areas to try to make some improvements in the community. And so that's what I can do to wrap up 20 hard years of work. I do want to thank all the people who've helped us through the years and who've helped me. It's been quite a journey. And I'm going to turn the program over now to State Senator Argle. Dave, if you want to come up here and say a few words. Thank you for your help and helping us.
He didn't give me the fancy microphone, so I'm gonna do it from up here. That was amazing, and it really did all start with Ted Block storming into my office in 1994, and I won't repeat it either, the whole story. But we recruited Chet Hoffman and soon many others. Jerry Knowles sat through many of those meetings with us, and you know, I go to a lot of meetings. I have never gone to meetings that were so helpful except for those. It was really amazing. Micah found the original notes from 20 years ago. Two key questions at those first meetings. What do we need to do to make this area better in the next 10 years? And how do we get there? What do we want it to look like? What do we want it to be like? And one thing led to another, and here we are 20 years later. You've seen the results. A revitalized downtown, an almost full, there's still a little bit of room left, right, for our friends at Tidewood. All of those beautiful, restored, historic buildings, and now the new project, the historic restoration for the museum, and of course all those parks and playgrounds. And just again, remember what intermunicipal cooperation was like 20 years ago between the townships and the borough? I remember a political leader calling and screaming at me for 20 minutes because somebody had the audacity to have tennis leagues working together between the borough and the township. She thought we were talking about annexation. We were talking about soccer and tennis. Nobody yells at me like that anymore. She was even a Republican, for God's sake. I can only imagine what the Democrats would have said to me. And so, I mean, the only time in the old days that township supervisors and borough councilmen met was when they were suing each other over at the courthouse in Pottsville. Again, we don't have those kinds of things anymore, and that's a very, very good thing. And it's taken a lot of work, including a lot of people here in this room. In those very early days, Micah emphasized it so well. We didn't dream up all those projects. People came out to community meetings from Tamaqua, from all of the surrounding townships, and they said, you know, this is our dream, and wow, it's so cool to see those dreams turn into reality. The early meetings were important. Dr. Geiger, I'm sure, remembers Pastor Searing, who came to one of our earlier meetings. He was at the St. John's Lutheran Church there on Pine Street. He gave me this about 20 years ago. It's a Margaret Mead quote that I've had in my office ever since. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever does. That small group of thoughtful, committed individuals grew and grew and grew, and that's why we're here today. Every time I drive through the 5 Points, I think Dr. Geiger really, really did say that at one of our meetings. I'm not going to believe that any of this stuff is for real until I see something other than cruddy, boarded up old buildings at the 5 Points. We don't have any more cruddy, beat up old buildings at the 5 Points. There's a couple others we're working on, but the 5 Points is better. And Dr. Geiger, thank you for I think, inspiring us. Don Surface sent me an email last week asking me a couple of questions. He turned it into a full-page story, complete with those wonderful before and after shots. He asked me my favorite project. I agreed with Micah. Didn't know that it was Micah's project too. L-Tri-C. I mean, literally, we see people's lives changing there every single day. The most visible project, of course, is the train station. And I don't know how long the good people at SOS had to work there, how many pierogies and hot dogs and bricks they had to sell. But I also remember the day that Micah walked into the office and said, I have this idea. I think I found a grant we can apply for. It has something to do with transportation facilities. And I said, Micah, the last train left Tamaqua in 1961. And he said, it doesn't matter. Look at paragraph 5C. And so there it was. What Donnie and I talked about too was what was our best decision in the last 20 years. There's a couple of guys here from the Center for Rural Pennsylvania, Barry Denk, Jonathan Johnson. Would they please wave? Barry, Jonathan? We couldn't have done it without you. They gave us a grant for $12,500 to hire this kid from Princeton University to come back to Tamaqua. Now, that was for 2.5 days a week. The other 2.5 days a week, he was selling turkeys for my father-in-law, the best educated turkey salesman Lowell Cup has ever had. And so that was the original investment, because we were all volunteers. We needed somebody like Micah to pull that together. Now, I don't pretend to know a lot about investments. Any investments that I had were used to pay for 2 very bright kids for 6 painful years of college tuition. But I know that if you can get back double, triple, quadruple on your investment, you're really doing pretty well. So, with my multivariate statistics class that I suffered through was on my way to my doctorate, I figured out that, well, if we would have gotten back that $12,500 10 times, that would have been $125,000. Well, we blew by that a long time ago. 100 times would have been just what he was able to do with the train station working with the SOS volunteers. So according to my math, we have repaid that investment about 1,000 times. And so Micah, thank you. That was definitely the best $12,000 grant the state has ever paid. Thank you to the Center for Rural Pennsylvania. And then I thought, where do you ever get 1,000 times back on your investment? Did any of you see the Steve Jobs movie about Apple Computer? I think they probably increased their investment 1,000 times, and people made an awful lot of money at Apple. And do you remember how he ended every single presentation? I got this one more thing. We have one more thing tonight. Representative Knowles and I are now working on one more thing. I probably shouldn't talk about it because it's not done yet. It may happen, it may not. It's a little too early to predict. We'll know in about a month and a half. But if it happens, it will be as big a deal as all of these projects that we've talked about before combined. Now, when it started to roll, I represent people in 6 counties. I talked to some other community leaders. I talked to some other organizations. And they all said, nah, too risky, too much work, we don't think it'll fit. Then I asked Mike, and even he, at the beginning, said, no, this doesn't work. Then he called me back a couple of days later. And any of you that know him, this ought not to surprise you, in his best ex-high school football quarterback mode, 4th and 10, he said, yeah, let's go for it. So we're going to give it a shot and check with us in a month and a half, and we'll know. I found a John Kennedy quote from Ireland in 1963, where he said, I dream things that never were. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Some people dream things that never were. I say, why not? As I said, we'll know in about 6 weeks if this reality can come true. But in the meantime, just remember this. I think that Kennedy quote sums up a lot of people here in this community. In my fancy math classes in 13 years of night school, they used to talk about peaks and apogees and attaining apogees. In Arlington Street, where I grew up in the 1960s, we didn't talk about apogees, and we didn't talk about graphs, and we didn't talk about statistics. But when our parents asked us to come in, we always had a pretty simple answer. We ain't done yet. At the risk of offending my mother, the retired English teacher, that's what I'm here to tell you all tonight. We ain't done yet. This has been a wonderful 20 years, but let's hear it for the next 20. Because, let me hear you say it, we ain't done yet. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Dave. We're gonna conclude the comments tonight with Barry Dink. Dave mentioned the Center for Rural Pennsylvania. When Ted Block came to his office in 1994, the people that Dave turned to was the Center for Rural Pennsylvania, which is a state agency that helps communities across rural Pennsylvania. And when he called up and said, I have some people who want to do something, what can we do? And so Barry Dink is the director of the Center for Rural Pennsylvania. They've been a partner from day one with this effort. So Barry, I'm going to leave you a little opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
with Senator Arnold, but I'll give it a try. Good evening to everyone here, and thanks for the opportunity to be with you tonight. On April 24th, back in 1994, Jeff Soul, who was the director of the Center for Rural Pennsylvania at the time, he made a presentation in Tamaqua about developing a vision for the future. What he said over 20 years ago still resonates today. If Pennsylvania is to be a healthy and vibrant state, its rural and small towns need to be healthy and vibrant also. These places, your community, Tamaqua, represents the investment of generations of people in terms of homes, businesses, public facilities, and they showcase the history and the heritage and the culture of this Commonwealth. He also said that if the vision for the future is based solely on economic development, thinking only in terms of net new jobs or net new sales, lasting sustainable success really may not be achieved. But rather, a vision for the future needs to be rooted in a comprehensive community development strategy that looks at the many aspects and characteristics that make the place that you call home. It certainly includes the economy, from an attractive, viable downtown to a broad mix of business and industry. But it also places equal emphasis on affordable housing, accessible health care, social, recreational, and cultural outlets for all ages, a strong human service delivery system that cares for those who are unable to take care of themselves, and an educational system that offers cradle-to-grave, lifelong learning opportunities for all. Over 20 years ago, Tamaqua said yes to the challenges and the opportunities of creating and implementing a vision for the future. You recognize that the challenges you faced did not happen overnight, and the opportunities to direct and lead your future would not be implemented nor achieved quickly either. So, in 1994, you set the stage for Tamaqua 2004, and you laid out a game plan that sought and accepted support, buy-in, and ownership from all aspects and elements of your community. And you truly did plant the seeds for success. And you welcomed the insights and the support from a number of organizations and people. From the Countryside Exchange visits in 1995 and in 2005, from the Pennsylvania Downtown Center and its Main Street program, with Rural List, the Federal Home Loan Bank and its Blueprint Communities program, and certainly with Senator Dave Arnold, just to name a few. Your plan, your ownership in the future of Tamaqua garnered the interest, the support, and the financial investment from others. I have taught grantsmanship writing for many years, and one of the core principles in my training is this: money will follow a good project, but a good project doesn't necessarily follow the money. And you have proven that many times over. Your planning, your ability to set a course of action first, and then to seek appropriate investment to support that plan has worked, and it's been proven 10 times over by obviously what we've seen here tonight. Do you still have some hurdles facing you? Absolutely. As Mike attested to. Has everyone bought into the work of the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership? Probably not. But you have accomplished quite a bit. And tonight it is most appropriate that you come together as one community to recognize and to celebrate your success. A core component of the community visioning strategy that was developed by the Center for Rural Pennsylvania is that you celebrate your successes. And so this, the 20th anniversary of your first steps towards community revitalization, is in fact a time to celebrate. The Center for Rural Pennsylvania, that we're so proud to be a part of, congratulates all of you on your accomplishments. I cannot tell you how many times I speak before audiences across this Commonwealth and even at the national level where I don't talk about the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership and that you are in fact a poster child for successful community visioning. You are visible, tangible proof that rural matters. So, for Tamaqua, the land of running water, I appreciate the invitation to be part of this celebration tonight, and I congratulate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. A couple more things that we need to do. One is I talked about the Dear Tamaqua. Please do that before you leave. Hopefully this has triggered something in your mind and give you a good idea. Put that post-it note up on the Dear Tamaqua event. This meeting also serves as our annual meeting for our nonprofit corporation. We always have two pieces of business that we're required to do during our annual meeting. One is to change our bylaws, if there's any bylaw changes. Does anybody have any recommended bylaw changes? I'd be shocked if you did, but we do from time to time have them. And I do have copies of our bylaws up here if anybody wants to take a copy home with them. Our board isn't recommending any, so I don't think we have anything there. The other thing we have to do today is to appoint new board of directors. We did have the nomination for Dina Deppis and also for Ben Tarano to serve on the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership Board of Directors. So if I could have somebody in the audience make a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second, and I'm going to have everybody gets to vote on this. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it, so they'll be on our board. If there's anybody else who wants to serve on our board, we could nominate people now. You can talk to me after the event. We really do look for some good board members to help our organization. The last thing I want to do is, before we conclude, is I do want to, with great risk, I'm going to invite Jerry Knowles up to the microphone. Representative Knowles was Mayor Knowles in 1994 and has been part of the Tamaqua area efforts for a long, long time. So, Representative, I want to let, if you may be able to do the concluding remarks, if Dave will let him. So we're going to have, we're going to leave the last word to Jerry. So please.
I don't know how you could stand these lights, Micah. Right. I was crazy, but I was with the senator early in Berks County, and he turned the mic over to me, and he said, "I do this with great risk." Exactly. But no, I've got to tell you that 1994. I remember. I remember it like it was yesterday. I looked at some of those photographs, and Dave Argel looked like a little kid. I didn't really change. I looked old about 20 years ago. So I feel pretty good about that. I think I look better than I did 20 years ago. But no, what I would say is this. And boy, I'll tell you, for me to give you a compliment, you got to be good. You know it. You know it. But what I will tell you is this. I worked for, after I left the commissioner's office to go back to work for Representative Argel, I had the opportunity to work with Micah Gursky. And unbelievably, during the course of the years that we worked together, people would say to me, Micah Gursky, graduated from Princeton, came back to Tamaqua. Why did he come back to Tamaqua? And it would really annoy me. And I know it would annoy Micah. And I think what you saw here tonight in this presentation and the passion that Micah Gursky has for this community is a big part of why we are here tonight to celebrate these 20 years. So I want to recognize Micah Gursky. I'll tell you something scary, Micah. When that started, I was only a couple of years older than you. The other thing that I wanted to say is that Dave Argel, what a passion for this stuff. And believe me, I'm not sucking up here. I'm Dave Wargle's colleague now. I don't have to say, I don't agree with him all the time. We have differences. But what I will say is that the passion that he and Mike Gursky have for this community and for these projects is just unbelievable. Dave is, you know, I remember the very first project, Dave. And by the way, that $2 million check, remember they didn't have it ready in time. I had to run to Harrisburg and pick it up, and I came to Tamaqua with $2 million in my pocket. I was gonna go, man. But that's the only time I ever had that much money on my person, I gotta say that. But the other thing, the very first project that I had when I went back to work for Dave, when I left the commissioner's office, was Governor Schweiker visited us here in Tamaqua to announce the L-Tri-C thing. And what I will tell you, I thought, man, it's gonna be a great job, because I don't know whether you guys remember what happened, but there were some threats on the governor's life by someone in Schuylkill County at a gas station the night before. So when they brought the governor in, I mean, they had a SWAT team here. They were on the roof of the Southwood Fire Company and some of the buildings. They brought the dogs in and they swept the building, and it was like a presidential motorcade when he came to Tamaqua. And it was just like, man, this is going to be a great job. But that was one of the most exciting moments that I've ever had, not as an elected official, but being a part of something good that was happening. I can remember when they announced the whole thing with the Morgan Foundation. When I go out and I talk to people and they say, where are you from? I say, I'm from West Township now, and I'm not ashamed of that, but I say the Tamaqua area. And they say, boy, you guys got some great things happening in Tamaqua. I have a brother who lives up in Massachusetts, and when he comes up, he just tells me how much better the town was. And when I tell people about that situation, that you can graduate from our high school and you can have 14 years of free education, it just blows them away. So in concluding, I will just say and I want to congratulate and thank all of you in this room, because each and every one of you have had something to do with something over the course of this 20 years. But the thing that stands out in my mind, and I am most proud of, is when we stood up there at that old junior high school, and if you would have told me 25 years ago that we were going to have a college in our community, I would have told you that you were nuts. So thank you all for what you do, and I won't tell them about the surprise. The senator always says I have a big mouth, but I won't tell them that. I won't tell them unless you get me drunk. Thank you all.
I want to thank everybody. I hope you have taken an opportunity to meet somebody who you might not know in the room. There's food and refreshments there. Leona has volunteers from the Art Center. If you haven't been here, if you would like a tour, we'd be happy to give you a tour. I do encourage you to visit the Dear Tamaqua display. We have some Dear Tamaqua submissions there on display, including we printed up bar posters and have them in bars throughout the community, so people, while they're sitting at the bar, can write their thoughts and hopes and dreams for Tamaqua. And we've got some very nice submissions there. I want to thank everybody who helped put this together. I hope you have a good evening, and I look forward to working with all of you over the next 20 years on continuing to improve our community. So thank you.